Live rock was built on adrenaline, risk, and the promise that anything could happen. The paradox was that the same energy that made a crowd feel alive could also turn a stage into chaos. These were 15 hard rock and metal stars who lost control on stage. Number 15, Phil Anselmo.
Take my life.
Okay, folks, I will own this one, Phil Anselmo wrote afterward, claiming it was an inside joke about white wine. The footage told the real story. On January 22, 2016, at the Dimebash tribute for Dimebag Darrell, Anselmo finished a run through Pantera's Walk, threw a Nazi salute, and shouted "White Power" into the microphone. Pantera's vulgar display of power, produced by Terry Date, went 2 times platinum and helped shape modern groove metal for Machine Head, Lamb of God, and Slipknot. That is why the blowback hit so hard. Promoters distanced themselves, peers called him out, and the moment permanently followed him. It was not a backstage rumor. It was a headline, captured on camera in the worst possible setting.
We here and all the awesome musicians. Lonnie James Dio, stand up and shout.
Number 14, Randy Blythe. The night of May 24, 2010, turned a normal club show into an international court case. Lamb of God were playing Prague's club Abaton when stage invasions started piling up, and frontman Randy Blythe reacted aggressively. A 19-year-old fan, Daniel Nosek, fell from the stage, suffered head injuries, and later died, leading to Blythe's arrest in 2012 and a trial in 2013. Musically, the band were in their commercial stride. Wrath sold about 68,000 copies in its first week and debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200, produced by Josh Wilbur. Live, the episode became a grim lesson the entire scene absorbed. Modern tours by acts like Killswitch Engage, Trivium, and Gojira tightened stage security and barrier policy because one split second of "get off my stage" can become a decade of consequences.
Open up that dance floor, sing along. Show me what you got.
Number 13, Axl Rose.
Whatever you may need, if you want the money, honey, we got your
18 million copies shipped in the United States. Appetite for Destruction made Guns N' Roses the most dangerous-looking band on the biggest possible stage. On July 2, 1991, at Riverport Amphitheater near St. Louis, that danger stopped being theatrical. Mid-Rocket Queen, Axl Rose spotted a fan taking photos, demanded the camera, then jumped into the crowd himself when security stalled. Back at the mic, he ended the show early and walked off. The aftermath was a full-scale venue riot, with reports of roughly 65 injuries. The legal consequences stuck to him too. In November 1992, a judge convicted Rose of assault and property damage, sentencing him to 2 years probation and ordering a $50,000 donation split between several charities. The moment became a cautionary tale for every arena act that followed. From Motley Crue to Korn to Avenged Sevenfold, a stadium frontman always had power. Riverport proved how fast that power could turn combustible.
Well, thanks to the lame-ass security, I'm going home.
Number 12, Limp Bizkit.
You know why, but you wanna justify ripping someone's head off. No human contact, and if you win to
By June 22, 1999, Significant Other debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, moving about 643,874 copies in its first week, and it later reached 7 times platinum in the United States. A month later, on July 24, 1999, Limp Bizkit hit the Woodstock '99 stage and played the song that would haunt them, Break Stuff. During and after the performance, violence flared, and fans were reported tearing plywood from structures around the festival site. Frontman Fred Durst insisted the wider disaster was not on the band, but the optics were brutal. A huge chorus, a huge crowd, and a moment where losing control stopped sounding metaphorical. New metal rivals and successors, including Linkin Park, Papa Roach, and Deftones, inherited the same suspicion from critics who now treated heavy music crowds as a safety problem first, a culture second. Woodstock '99 was bigger than one set, but that set became the symbol.
I'm like a chainsaw, motherfucking chainsaw.
Number 11, Metallica.
Call me clearer, ain't the night for
20 times platinum in the United States. The self-titled Metallica album became the biggest-selling record of the SoundScan era. In the summer of 1992, the band were touring that wave at stadium scale. On August 8, 1992, in Montreal's Olympic Stadium, during Fade to Black, James Hetfield walked into a 12-foot pyrotechnic flame. Lars Ulrich later described heat around 3,200 degrees. Hetfield suffered second and third-degree burns, and Metallica cut the set short. Then, the night got worse. After a long delay, Guns N' Roses also ended early, and a riot followed. Damage estimates ran around $400,000, and police reported injuries and arrests. Metallica returned to the road 17 days later with guitar tech John Marshall filling in on rhythm guitar while Hetfield sang. For acts like Slipknot, Rammstein, and Ghost, Montreal became the nightmare example that rewrote pyro safety meetings forever. Before we continue, which moment from this list felt the most unreal to you? Did you remember seeing any of these clips on the nightly news, MTV, or an early internet download? Drop a comment and let us know where you are watching from. Number 10. Ted Nugent. In the 1970s, the Guitar Hero era rewarded volume, swagger, and provocation, and Ted Nugent sold that image like a brand. His 1977 album, Cat Scratch Fever, hit 3 times platinum in the United States, and songs like Stranglehold made him a staple of hard rock radio. In August of 2007, that provocation crossed a bright line. During a concert, Nugent waved guns on stage and suggested Democratic candidates Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton could suck on the machine guns he was holding. The clip sparked public outrage and forced promoters and festivals to answer an uncomfortable question. Was this theater, politics, or something that raised real safety risk? Nugent defended it as performance, but the industry response was practical, not philosophical. It tightened rules around prop weapons and onstage speech. It also echoed forward into the culture wars around artists like Kid Rock, Five Finger Death Punch, and even older shock rockers who, suddenly had to explain the difference between menace and threat.
Chicago, I said, hey, Obama, you might want to suck on one of these, you punk!
Number 9. Ozzy Osbourne.
Be right, I could be wrong. It hurts so bad, it's been so long.
In late 1981, Diary of a Madman peaked at number 16 on the Billboard 200, built on Randy Rhoads' guitar fireworks and Ozzy Osbourne's new solo identity. On January 20th, 1982, in Des Moines at Veterans Memorial Auditorium, the tour produced the moment that never stopped following him. A dead bat landed on stage. Ozzy thought it was rubber. He picked it up, bit down, and immediately realized it was real. The show ended, the legend began, and the medical reality arrived fast. He was treated and given rabies shots after the concert. Ozzy later described the taste in detail, but the deeper takeaway was about control. Shock rock had always played chicken with the audience, and on that night, the audience threw the chicken back. The incident became a template for theatrical metal, influencing stagecraft and persona building for Alice Cooper, Marilyn Manson, and Rob Zombie. Ozzy remained the genre's patron saint of chaos, partly because this story stayed too absurd to forget.
Evidently threw an unconscious bat on the stage, and he thought it was a rubber bat.
Number 8. Geezer Butler. On October 9, 1980, Black Sabbath were in their Ronnie James Dio era, touring Heaven and Hell and proving the band could survive the Ozzy years. 2 songs in at Milwaukee's Mecca Arena, Dio began introducing NIB, and bassist Geezer Butler stepped forward for the famous intro. Something flew from the crowd, commonly reported as a bottle or a large metal object, and it struck Butler in the head. He went down, and the band left the stage. The crowd did not accept it. According to contemporaneous reports, roughly 2 to 3 police officers were injured, and about 160 people were arrested as seats were torn up and objects thrown. A show built to feel dangerous had become genuinely dangerous. Musically, Butler's fingerprints are everywhere. His tone and phrasing shaped Cliff Burton, Steve Harris, and Rex Brown, and his NIB intro is practically a bass rite of passage. Milwaukee showed the dark mirror of that legacy. When a crowd loses control, the band can stop playing, but they cannot stop what comes next. Number 7. Glenn Danzig. The contrast was almost comedic. Glenn Danzig wrote Mother, a song that peaked at number 17 on Billboard's mainstream rock chart, produced by Rick Rubin and built to be shouted, not debated. But on July 3, 2004, in Tuba City, Arizona, the argument turned physical. After a dispute involving the opening act North Side Kings, Danzig ended up in a scuffle and was famously dropped by singer Danny Marianino, a moment captured on grainy video that spread for years. This was not a stage dive gone wrong. It was ego, tension, and the kind of backstage drama that spilled into the spotlight. Danzig later claimed it was a setup, but the clip did not care. For fans of Metallica, Typo Negative, and a whole generation of dark hard rock that grew up on Misfits lore, it was a reminder that the most mythic performers are still human bodies. Under stage lights and bodies fall. Number 6. Yvonne Moody. Before the meltdown, the numbers said Major League. The Wrong Side of Heaven and the Righteous Side of Hell, Volume 1, debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200 with about 113,000 copies sold in its first week, produced by Kevin Churko. Five Finger Death Punch were built for festival domination, which made May 1st, 2015 at the Beale Street Music Festival in Memphis feel like a sudden derailment. Sound problems hit, and frontman Ivan Moody visibly spiraled. Reports and fan videos showed band members walking off while Moody stayed, talking, venting, and losing the thread. Moody later pointed to severe in-ear monitor problems as a trigger, saying the inability to hear the mix pushed him into frustration, and he lost his cool. In modern hard rock, in-ear monitors are invisible until they fail, and then they become the whole show. The moment mattered because it landed in the internet era. Every stumble became content. And for bands like Papa Roach, Shinedown, and Breaking Benjamin, it reinforced the same rule: fix the technical chain or the human chain breaks. Before we continue, which era of live rock felt the most out of control to you? The 70s arenas, the 80s hair metal peak, or the late 90s festival explosion? Did you ever walk out of a concert early because the vibe turned ugly? Drop a comment and tell us what city you are watching from. Number 5. Rob Halford. At 40 years old, Rob Halford was the metal god at full horsepower, fronting Judas Priest with painkiller-level intensity. On August 19, 1991 in Toronto, during the Operation Rock and Roll Tour, he made the classic entrance, riding a Harley onto the stage during Hellbent for Leather. Then the stage hardware betrayed the stunt. A riser malfunctioned. Halford collided with the drum riser, broke his nose, and went down unconscious as the band started the first song. In the fog and confusion, crew members scrambled to find him. Guitarist Glenn Tipton reportedly spotted him on the ground. Halford regained consciousness, returned, and finished the show with his nose patched. For metal singers, this was the ultimate lesson in professionalism and stubbornness. Judas Priest had already influenced Metallica, Iron Maiden, and Slayer, and this moment added another kind of influence: the idea that the show continues even when the body says stop. It was a crash that looked like pure chaos, but it ended as pure will. Number 4. Alice Cooper.
Telephone is ringing. You got me on the run.
In September 1969, the idea of shock rock was not yet a marketing category. It was something that happened when a crowd got confused and the newspapers got hungry. At the Toronto Rock and Roll Revival on September 13, 1969, Alice Cooper's band were already doing wild stage bits, including ripping open feather pillows. Then a chicken appeared on stage. Cooper assumed it could fly, grabbed it, and tossed it into the audience. It did not fly. The bird landed, and the crowd tore it apart. The next day, headlines claimed Cooper had bitten its head off. Frank Zappa, whose label had signed the band, reportedly advised him to never correct the myth. A few years later, School's Out, produced by Bob Ezrin, hit number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100 and turned theater into mainstream rock business. The chicken incident became the accidental origin story that later performers, including Kiss, Marilyn Manson, and Rob Zombie, learned from. Control was not just volume and riffs, it was narrative. Alice Cooper lost control for a second, then won it for a career.
Is it my body or something I might?
Number 3. Steven Tyler.
All these lines on my face getting clearer.
Before the Falls, Aerosmith had already written the blueprint for American hard rock swagger, and Pump went 7 times platinum. powered by songs like Janie's Got a Gun and Love in an Elevator. On August 5, 2009, at the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally in South Dakota, the sound cut out mid-song. Tyler tried to keep the crowd entertained, danced along a catwalk, and fell off the stage. He was airlifted for treatment, and the show ended. Then, history repeated itself. On August 17, 2010 in Toronto, Tyler and Joe Perry made contact during Love in an Elevator, and Tyler tumbled off the catwalk and into the crowd. These were not tantrums, but they were still loss of control in the most literal sense. For bands who learned stagecraft from Aerosmith, including Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, and AC/DC, it was a reminder that late career touring is a different sport. The older the legend, the higher the risk. Number 2. Sebastian Bach.
Heard he was a young boy, he had a heart of stone.
Before the rant, there was the resume. Skid Row's 1989 debut went 5 times platinum, and in 1991, Slave to the Grind debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, the first heavy metal album to debut at number 1 in the SoundScan era. That voice, the one that carried 18 in Life and Youth Gone Wild, never needed chaos to get attention. But on September 5, 2025, at the Copa Room in Bootlegger Bistro in Las Vegas, Sebastian Bach blew up mid-show while appearing with the covers band Chevy Metal. Fan video showed him stopping between songs, pointing out a woman in the crowd, and demanding security remove her, launching into a profanity-laced tirade. The story, according to Bach, involved a previous confrontation and what he felt was antagonizing behavior during the set. At 57 years old, it was a modern reminder of an old truth. A live mic amplifies everything, not just vocals. For singers in the lineage of Bach, from Steel Panther to Godsmack to Alter Bridge, composure is part of the performance, until it is not. Number 1. Tim Commerford.
Some beat downs, don't run a train on potholes and think they run a game, but I learned to burn that.
The institutional setting made it funnier and more revealing. On September 7, 2000, Rage Against the Machine performed Testify at the MTV Video Music Awards in New York City, dressed as the most dangerous band in the building. Then Limp Bizkit won Best Rock Video for Break Stuff, and bassist Tim Commerford decided etiquette was over. He climbed the set scaffolding, refused to come down, and forced the broadcast into chaos as security intervened. Reports afterwards said Commerford was arrested for disorderly conduct before eventually being released. Within Rage, the stunt also caused friction because it pulled focus from the music to the spectacle. The irony is that Rage never needed that kind of stunt to make a statement. Evil Empire debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 with 249,000 first-week sales, produced by Brendan O'Brien, and it won a Grammy for Tire Me. Still, the VMA climb remains the most human kind of losing control, a flash of ego in a room built for egos. It ended the list with rebellion, not ruin.